So the reason I wanted both of you here at the same time, I wasn't really sure who to ask. With we have a couple of questions about like maps and the way like the new atlas is going to work as well.
Right.
Oh shit! Rory is just like, okay,
I
shit.
wasn't really sure who to ask. With we have a couple of questions about like maps and the way like the new atlas is going to work as well.
Right.
And I think Neon probably would be able to answer a lot of them, but
Yeah.
he's a bit swamped. So I figured you guys would be like a perfect team to tackle a lot of them.
This is like, okay, since I didn't get the big boy Neon who knows everything, I'm just like, I'll settle for the the guys below. That's what this is saying. Shame, shame.
So on the new atlas, are there uncompleted maps?
I don't actually know much about the new systems.
We still have the concept of map completion.
Yeah.
I believe we are trying to.
That's scary. Assuming him saying we have the concept of map completion wasn't referring to Atlas bonus completion versus just map. Like, I'm not sure. I mean, this asks about uncompletion, but he. That's scary, dude.
Remove the need to uncomplete them.
I don't actually know much about the new systems.
We still have the concept of map completion.
Yeah.
I believe we are trying to remove the need to uncomplete them.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know exactly how the mechanics will play out for that. It's more of a
Yeah. If there's something to gain from not completing a map to begin with, people will use that to their advantage. So if that is a thing, and you wanted to change your Atlas strat at some point, and you completed maps that you wouldn't want to have in your Atlas, you're fucked. We're not talking about the bonus now. We're talking about currently, there is 3 states for maps. There is uncompleted when it's grayed out. There's completed, so it can drop from any map, not just the adjacent map, assuming, the tier restrictions are met. And then there's bonus completion, which is basically the same as completed, except it gives you Atlas bonus. So if those 3 are still a thing, having uncompleted maps in your Atlas is going to be beneficial for a lot of setups. And if we can't uncomplete maps, it is actually possible to permanently fuck up your Atlas. This was a problem in the original Atlas, which they fixed after some people pointed out the possibility of completely breaking your Atlas. Like, it wasn't there in their original plan for the Atlas, but they did it because they realized that that's bad.
game design question, I think.
Yeah, I haven't been working on the map stuff at all. So
No, it is. I can imagine Neon is crazy busy, so it is unfortunate we don't have him here today.
Yeah, but why would they give 2 points if there isn't a completed but no bonus? Wait, what do you mean? The Atlas bonus is what increases the average tiers of maps that drop. It doesn't give you more maps, it only increases the tier of the maps that drop. But currently in the Atlas, you can't drop all of the maps that are not that are not completed, unless you run an adjacent map, or you do like a league mechanic that can randomly drop the map. So if the concept of uncompleted map is going to be a thing, we're going to have a lot of very mad people very, very many. It is gonna be it's gonna be a disaster if that's a thing. Like, I'm not even joking. It's gonna be, the Reddit is gonna be on fucking fire after 1 week of the league start if uncompleted maps is a thing and we can't uncomplete maps that we have completed. Like, I'm not even joking. People are gonna get fucking mad because that means that they're gonna be breaking their atlas because they're gonna be completing maps that they don't want to have in their late game setup, but because they don't know that's an issue until they are trying to get the setup working, and then they realize it's impossible to revert that mistake. It's gonna be bad. But that is obviously not an issue if everything by default, the moment you have an access to a section of the atlas, all of the maps can drop by default. So there is no uncompleted maps at all, ever. It's just about unveiling new maps. But the moment you unveil them or like reveal them in a section, it's automatically droppable. So that's, in that case, it's fine. But because he said that the concept of completing maps is still there. Completing maps and completing the Atlas bonus are two different things. So if the concept of completing maps is there, that means that there's gonna be uncompleted maps as well, which is gonna not end well. Like, you have to literally plan your Atlas from the beginning with the Atlas setup in mind, because otherwise you're gonna I mean, okay, obviously you can go full completion, that's fine, but that's not gonna be the optimal strat. That is 100% not gonna be the most optimal strat if it's possible to manipulate it by not completing maps.
Let me just add some notes here as well.
It'll basically be the same maps for the most part. Like, we're not really adding new tile sets or anything at this stage.
Yeah.
But we do have the system of upgrading the tiers.
Are we sure
so you can play
uncomplete maps will be associated to whatever we're trying to do? We'll try.
quite a variety of
It
tiers.
will be the most optimal strat if that is a possible thing.
See, let me just add some notes here as well.
Yeah, it's not an issue for new players until they get to late game when they want to do something, but it's gonna be a huge issue for the big player base who does end game and plays a lot. Their core player base. Fucking, I need to look back.
I haven't been working on the map stuff at all. So
No, it is. I can imagine Neon is crazy busy, so it is unfortunate we don't have him here today.
But again, he might have referred to the Atlas bonus. So we're not sure.
It'll basically be the same maps for the most part. Like, we're not really adding new tile sets or anything at this stage.
Yeah.
But we do have the system of upgrading the tiers, so you can play them. You can play almost every map at quite a variety of tiers in 3.9.0.
So if you upgrade all your maps, because you guys said in the trailer and the announcements, you could upgrade all your maps to 14 to 16 at the same time.
Yeah.
What is going to happen to all the lower map drops then? Is it just nothing will drop if all the maps are high level?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's right. So you're only going to get the maps that you're seeing on your atlas dropping.
You know what's interesting about that thing? So if low tier maps no longer drop in that case, when you have your atlas done like that, if you then start running your low tier maps, the maps that you found before you upgraded everything, you will be running maps without getting any map returns. And then people are like, what's happening? Now obviously that's easy to fix by removing the Watchstones, but people will literally do it without realizing it. And it's gonna be great. Seeing Reddit threads, I'm not getting any map drops. Well, they have their whole atlas like tier 14 plus, and they're like running low tier maps where I'm not getting any map drops. The game's broken. It's gonna be great. When you make a new character, you can literally just unsocket the Watchstones and it will lower the maps, like the tiers. So it's fine. Unless you somehow don't understand that.
Okay.
Yeah, so if they're all red, then they're always going to be red with your drops. Old ones you have in your inventory will stay as they were.
Yeah.
And you can unsocket them if you want to get lower
Lower
drops.
ones, yeah.
You're not
Like you can instantly remove the Watchstone, so it's like not an issue.
Yeah.
But
And
people
one
will
of
not
the
realize
things
that,
has-
and it's
yeah.
gonna be
The
great.
maps that you're seeing on your atlas dropping.
Okay.
Yeah, so if they're all red, then they're always going to be red with your drops. Old ones you have in your inventory will stay as they were.
Yeah.
And you can unsocket them if you want to get lower
Lower
drops.
ones, yeah.
you're not required to, but you can.
No, they're
Yeah.
they're a bit silent.
And one
I
of
can
the
up
things
it.
that has particularly players like Carve worried is
Monka. He said my
if
name.
you
What?
don't have
They're always going to be red.
thing will drop if all the maps are high level.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's right. So you're only going to get the maps that you're seeing on your atlas dropping.
Okay.
Yeah, so if they're all red, then they're always going to be red with your drops. Old ones you have in your inventory will stay
It's like
as they were.
To be fair, he asked me for like a lot of these questions are my questions.
Yeah.
And you can unsocket them if you want to get lower
Lower ones, yeah.
You're not required to, but you can.
Yeah.
I'm just surprised he mentioned me by name.
And one of the things that has particularly players like Carve worried is if you don't have a way to uncomplete your atlas, but maybe we find, as like for racing or for something else, we find a reason that we still want to have it uncompleted. Don't you run the risk of sort of like breaking or destroying your atlas if you have no way to remove it?
That is a question that I can't answer without knowing what the system actually, whether there is a system in place, 'cause I'm not sure.
I see it like it's I don't know if you guys ever watch like videos where like people like explaining like body language, but he's like looking up like that. He's like thinking like yeah.
I don't know how much people want to run exactly one map over and over under the new system.
That's a bit beside the point. I'm not sure if he understood the question. I mean, like, oh, okay.
So kind of, I don't know how much people want to run exactly one map over and over under the new system, because it kind of requires you to. Well, I mean, I guess you can finish everything and then switch to a strategy of doing the same map over and over again, but I think in practice you would be limited to more like 2 or 3, because you could upgrade, for example, one region to maximum tier to get the T16s you want, and then leave all the other regions at a lower tier so you can't get their T16s
Right.
and things, which would.
But in that region where I want the T16 maps, if I have all of the other maps in that region uncompleted, they won't be dropping. Obviously, the adjacent maps to the map that I'm running will be dropping, but the other maps that are not adjacent to the map I'm running won't drop unless they have a system where all of the maps within a region can drop. Maybe they have that, we don't know. But that would be beneficial to not complete maps in that region if that's a thing.
To maximum tier. I think in practice you would be limited to more like 2 or 3, because you could upgrade, for example, one region to maximum tier to get the T16s you want, and then leave all the other regions at a lower tier. So you can't-
Also, he mentions that you can upgrade a region to get the T16s you want. Does that mean that we can choose what maps in the region will be T16? Maybe I should just listen.
because you could could upgrade, for example, one region to maximum tier to get the T16s you want, and then leave all the other regions at a lower tier so you can't get their T16s
Right.
and things, which would filter it down quite a lot, but it's not quite the same as what you can currently do with the Elder Orb and
Yeah.
completing all the Guardians and stuff.
And in the
The question that Ziz asked, though, has nothing to do with this. I mean, okay, it's a bit, but it was more about you complete a map that having it completed in your endgame setup is just really bad. Like for a low tier map, like let's say you want to farm a low tier map for div cards, and you completed all of the maps. Now, obviously, you can upgrade the others to higher tier, but you will still have the other completed maps in the same section still dropping.
current version of the Atlas, we have the, it's a higher chance, or rather that the map needs to be adjacent to drop, or completed. And
I'm just gonna not stop. I'm gonna listen to
Quite a
them
lot,
for a while.
but it's not quite the same as what you can currently do with the Elder Orb and
yeah,
completing all the Guardians and stuff.
and in the current version of the Atlas, we have the, it's a higher chance, or rather that the map needs to be adjacent to drop, or completed to drop. Is there going to be like the same things with like that you do need to be adjacent to the one that you want to be dropping?
As far as I know, that's still how it works, but we might be making changes because of people's concerns about completed maps. But yeah, we have to ask Mark too. He's the
Yeah,
star of the system.
yeah, I know. I figured. I can't imagine how like busy you guys are, because is it less than 2 weeks until the 13th?
Yeah, if it's
2 weeks today.
Oh,
so, there's two answers
still
now.
here.
That
It's our deadline for getting
I'm sorry. I have so there's two answers now from Rhys that heavily imply that we will have uncompleted maps in the Atlas, and then we have to complete it. So I guess it's time to start planning the exact Atlas now, because if you don't have the setup planned beforehand and you don't want to have full completion, you're gonna have some bad time.
2 weeks to go, and no one's told me to remove the functionality, so
yeah.
for now, that's how it works.
No, it's gonna be a very, very exciting like changeover. Are we going to see any or a lot of new like maps that are sort of based on things from the second campaign, but will we be getting that earlier?
No, there won't be any POE 2 tile sets being put back into POE 1. Eventually, I expect we'll make some.
Before the actual. You guys said that we were going to be seeing. Yeah.
Another mic question,
So
by the way.
particularly, you said you worked a lot on like the terrain and stuff, right?
By the way.
Are we going to see, like you guys said that we were going to be seeing more things being added to the game that is like, supposed to be part of PoE 2, but you'll be adding more of that as we get closer to PoE 2 before the actual full launch. Are we going to see any or a lot of new like maps that are sort of based on things from the second campaign, but will we be getting that earlier?
No, there won't be.
So the idea with this question is we had new layout, like new map layouts from content from the story that wasn't out yet at some point. I don't remember when it was, but we got a bunch of new maps that turned out to be the new story. I think it was like from the Act 5 to 10. We got some maps before we actually got the story for them. Yeah, Tower was out before Act 6. Yeah, for example. There were some other ones as well. So I was just wondering, will they use like the new tile sets? Like the tile types? Because in the trailer, it's irrelevant. They did say that during the ExileCon panels that the maps cannot use the new world/layout generation shit, because, well, it's not story. They will, like, you start from one place in the map. It's not, and that they will have much less randomization than the world areas, so they could easily do that.
Any POE 2 tile sets being put back into POE 1.
Oh yeah, Ashen Woods. Yeah.
Eventually, I expect we'll make some in-game maps, which will be part of the shared in-game, but not in the lead up to POE 2.
There are quite a few new spell effects that a lot of the spell effect improvements we did for 4.0 just to bring everything up to the level of quality.
But we already know that we are getting graphical change upgrades such as improvements before POE 2 comes. So we're not talking about specifically 3.9, but leading up to POE 2. So let's say 3.11 or something like that.
That POE 2 should have. A lot of those are just going in 3.0 as well. So
like the question wasn't 3.9, I think. No, at least I didn't. That's
are
not
we
how
going to see any or a lot of new like maps that are sort of based on things from the second campaign, but will we be getting that earlier?
No, there won't be any POE 2 tile sets being put back into POE 1.
See, the question wasn't specifically 3.9.
We'll make some in-game maps, which will be part of the shared in-game, but not in the lead up to
yeah, the flicker is really fucking annoying.
New spell.
So I actually have a couple more questions I want to try about maps. I'm not sure if you guys are able to answer them or not, but
this with Loki. Okay, guys, I'm gonna hit you with some questions, and I'm totally expecting you guys to not have any idea what I'm talking about, but I'll just do it anyways.
When you're upgrading, I can't remember if it was the unique stone or just one of the stones, but we've been told that we can in fact upgrade the tiers of a unique map.
Yeah, when you upgrade a region, all the maps in it upgrade, including the unique maps.
Yeah. And is there going to be the same map tier for the unique map as the base map? So for example, if you're upgrading Cursed Crypt to tier 16, is that also going to be the Coward's Trial to tier 16, or could that end up being 12 or 14?
Pretty sure they're still connected.
This was really nice. The answer gave us a lot of information about how the Watchstones work, because assuming they're right about it, right, where the unique will also upgrade with the base map, and that it's tied to it, and that all maps should be upgrading at the same time when you use Watchstone.
To their original maps, they will be in the same region. I don't know if the border can cross.
I assume they'll be in the same region.
Yeah.
I haven't actually checked.
So they're talking about region, right? They're talking about region, so that's mean that every map in the region will get upgraded from Watchstone.
And
which now he's gonna ask about. I'm gonna show you a picture where I know what this question is gonna be about. And here's the. So we have this screenshot where we have 3 stones in this section, and all of the maps are red except these 3. So would it just mean that when we put the last stone there, that these suddenly all go up by 9 tiers, so a T5 up to T14, because that's 4 stones? Or will different stones increase the tiers by different levels? Or is one of those stones a unique that doesn't affect other maps in there, or like, yeah, there's a lot of stuff around this.
I don't know if this was a bug or not, and I wish I had it up here so I can show you, but in one of the images, because the regions are like sort of signified by the gold lace around them, but the entire region was upgraded to red maps, except 2 maps were white. So is there...
Oh no, he kinda... I mean, this could be a lead up, but I think it's important to note that there was 3 Watchstones being used for that. Because that would mean that if all of the maps with 4 Watchstones are always gonna be 14 plus, like minimum 14, that would mean that the last stone would increase those 3 by 9 tiers minimum.
Is there a way for us to keep certain
Like,
maps
wait,
within the region?
Like,
not
what is going on?
Say I really
I
want
don't
to.
think so.
I'm not aware of anything like that.
So that might have just been a graphical thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Could have been a bug.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm expecting that
Let's
to be the case.
through the
Yeah.
questions and see. Oh yes, here's a great one. If you know, so on these Watchstones, are there like sort of random seeds on them that will be like random, or is it like fixed? Which maps will be upgraded to tier 16, 14? Do we have a way?
Oh shit! This is the Monka mega question. Will certain maps be capped at a certain tier, or are all of the maps possible to go to T16? Because imagine the 5 favorite maps. All of you think about the 5 favorite maps, and think like let's even make a step further. Imagine all of those 5 maps in the same region. Let's see if we got really lucky and the 5 favorite maps in the same region. But when you upgrade all of the maps to T14 to T16, the maps that you like the most are all capped at T14. Because the devs decided for those maps to just not be T15 or 16. Just and then think about that the T16 in that region where you have your favorite maps are like absolute garbage that you don't want to run at all. That's my biggest after the uncompletion stuff, that's like my biggest fear
Of changing that,
It's fixed.
will be like random, or is it like fixed? Which maps will be upgraded to tier 16, 14? Do we have a way of changing that?
It's fixed.
So
Like every region can be upgraded 4 times.
Mhm.
So there's a variety.
So will there be some maps that just cannot hit level 16 or tier 16?
I think so.
Yeah, I think they'll all be upgraded to a higher tier, but I don't think they can all hit 16.
It's gonna be like, I'm so excited. Like, thinking it's my favorite thing, and so excited for all this. Let's see. Yeah, so we're now starting from the center, and there looks to be like 8 different regions.
Yes.
Is it the same as before? Where we'll
Let's
have 4
just
starter
hope
maps,
that-
or are all 8 regions unlocked from the start?
They are wrong, okay? They don't know everything about the system, okay? They said that they don't know everything about the system, so let's just hope that they're wrong, okay?
I think you can access 4 of them from the start.
Can tell me no, they don't have necessarily to even be random seeds, but just the fact that if we can't decide what maps, like not a map, like even like fuck. I don't know how to explain this better than I already did, but yeah, so imagine all of the maps that you enjoy the most are capped at T14, and then because there's no agency for the player to decide what map will be T16. Like this seems like such a big downgrade if it's gonna be like that. So yeah.
Mm.
And then there's kind of 4 corner regions, which you have to path to. Yeah.
And it's on a map
Awesome.
device. Yeah, and paid
It's kind of
15k for it instead of like an actual good map.
Questions, 'cause I know
Sounds
that's
like a good idea.
not directly aimed at you guys, but yeah, I think that might be like the main amount of the questions I had for you guys.
Cool.
So thank you guys so much for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Appreciate you.
Fresh meat.
Vesihiisi hississä.
Vesihiisi, indeed, yes. Thanks, hello. Is our baby called Vesihiisi? I mean, you take that over 30k seeds, but what if there was only 4 seeds? Like you don't have to go to the other extreme.
You guys taking?
It's kind of similar.
Yeah, I feel kind of bad asking all the mapping questions because I know that's like
Sorry.
not directly aimed at you guys, but yeah, I think that might
Last
be
one
like
was wait, did I miss something?
We're now starting from the center.
Oh yeah, yeah. Sorry.
16.
By the way, this is another question that this asked me about like what any stuff you want to ask. I was like, yeah, I got some Atlas questions for you.
To a higher tier, but I don't think they can all hit 16.
Okay.
Then I was like, should you even ask about this? Because like you're playing like POE 2, shouldn't the questions be related to POE 2 instead?
Be like, I'm so excited. Like, endgame's my favorite thing, and I'm so excited for all this. Let's see. Yeah, so we're now starting from the center, and there looks to be like 8 different regions.
Yes.
Is it the same as before, where we'll have 4 starter maps, or are all 8 regions unlocked from the start?
There's also the third option where we unlock the region by running a map in it from the start. So actually at the start we start with 0. So the options are 0, 4, and 8. And if it starts with 0, there's a min-maxing to do when it comes to obtaining Watchstones. If we start with 4, not so much. But if it's like works like the same way as currently in the Atlas, when you do the first map, the T2 shaper influence will go to the adjacent map from the T1 that you did. If we unlock the sections by running a map in it, then you should only do one section at the start until you get at least your first Watchstone. Because by limiting the amount of maps that drop from the 4 sections to only 1, you are basically guaranteed to have the map required to kill the Conqueror when it spawns immediately. Instead, if you have all of the 4 of the regions unlocked, then you're dropping maps from all of those regions, which means you're getting like not 75% of like not like 1/4, because you're still getting adjacent maps in that section, but you're gonna get like half the maps in that section or less compared to what you would get if you only did one section.
I think you can access 4 of them from the start, and then this kind of full corner.
What they from the post, we know that the Conquerors, at least at the start, will spawn in the region that you're running maps in. So by running only maps in, like by only unlocking one section, if that's how it's gonna work, is gonna be the most optimal way to get at least your first Watchstone. Probably the second as well. Not necessarily getting the boss. I'm assuming that the final boss only spawns in red tiers.
Regions, which you have to path to. Yeah.
Awesome.
It's kind of similar.
Yeah, I feel kind of bad asking all the mapping questions because I know that's like
Sorry.
not directly.
Wait, I completely blanked out on the response.
This kind of full corner.
Is it the same as before, where we'll have 4 starter maps, or are all 8 regions unlocked from the start?
I think you can access 4 of them from the start, and then there's kind of 4 corner regions, which you have to path to. Yeah.
That makes me believe that you unlock the region by running a map in it, which would mean that we start with 0 instead of the 4. Because it says that you have to, like, you start with access to them. The answer wasn't you start with all of them all. Then again, not the Atlas guy, so he might not know exactly how it works, but yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. It's kind of similar.
Yeah, I feel kind of bad asking all the mapping questions because I know that's like
Sorry.
not directly aimed at you guys, but yeah, I think that might be like the main amount of the questions I had for you guys.
Cool.
So thank you guys so much for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Really appreciate you guys taking time out of your day to do this.